Most men believe that relationship problems begin when something goes wrong, but many of the most important moments occur when nothing appears wrong at all. This is where testing begins. Emotional tests are not deliberate games or conscious strategies. They are adaptive responses to uncertainty. When a woman senses a shift in stability, direction, or internal balance, she does not analyze it logically. She responds instinctively by introducing small amounts of tension, ambiguity, or resistance to see how the system reacts. These moments are rarely dramatic. They appear as subtle changes in tone, brief emotional distance, mild disagreement, or unexpected pushback. Men often misinterpret these signals as problems to be solved. They attempt to explain, reassure, negotiate, or restore harmony, believing that cooperation will resolve the issue. What they fail to see is that the test is not about the topic at hand. It is about their internal posture. The question being asked is simple. Does this man remain grounded when pressure appears, or does he adjust himself to remove it? When a man reacts by over-explaining, seeking approval, or trying to immediately smooth things out, he answers the question without realizing it. He communicates that tension destabilizes him. The test is not passed or failed through argument or agreement, but through presence. A man who remains steady, neither escalating nor appeasing, signals strength without effort. A man who treats every test as a problem to fix teaches the relationship that stability must be constantly maintained. Until men understand that testing is about resilience rather than correctness, they will continue to fail moments that were never designed to be won through logic or persuasion. What causes most men to fail these tests is not weakness or lack of care, but a misunderstanding of what is actually being evaluated. Men assume that cooperation, clarity, and emotional responsiveness are signs of strength because in most social and professional systems, they are. When tension appears, they move toward resolution instinctively, believing that restoring harmony demonstrates maturity and leadership. In emotional systems, however, immediate resolution often signals instability rather than strength. The presence of tension does not require correction. It requires tolerance. A woman introduces subtle friction, not to provoke conflict, but to observe how a man holds himself when things are no longer perfectly aligned. Does he remain centered, or does he shift to accommodate the pressure? Many men interpret resistance as rejection and respond by increasing effort. They explain intentions, justify behavior, or attempt to regain closeness through reassurance. Each of these responses communicates that tension is uncomfortable and must be removed. Over time, this teaches the relationship that emotional fluctuation is dangerous. The woman experiences this not as care, but as fragility. She senses that stability depends on constant emotional management, which quietly erodes trust. What passes these tests is not dominance or indifference, but grounded presence. A man who can allow mild discomfort without reacting demonstrates internal strength. He does not withdraw, nor does he pursue. He remains available without becoming urgent. This posture signals that his stability does not depend on immediate emotional alignment. The paradox is that by not trying to pass the test, he passes it. By refusing to negotiate his internal balance in response to pressure, he communicates resilience. Until men recognize that emotional tests are not problems to solve but signals to observe, they will continue to respond in ways that undermine the very stability they are trying to preserve. The reason these tests repeat over time is that they are not one-time events, but ongoing signals within the relationship. Many men believe that once trust is established or attraction is secured, testing should stop. When it doesn't, they interpret it as dissatisfaction, manipulation, or instability. In reality, testing is continuous because conditions are never static. Emotional states shift, circumstances change, and internal balance is constantly recalibrated. Each test is less about judgment and more about orientation. The woman is not asking whether the man is good, kind, or committed. She is sensing whether his internal stability persists across changing conditions. When a man responds to tests by becoming reactive, defensive, or overly accommodating, he teaches the relationship that his center moves under pressure. This invites more testing, not because she wants to challenge him, but because uncertainty remains unresolved. Conversely, when a man remains internally consistent, tests naturally diminish in intensity. There is nothing left to verify. This is why men who do everything right often feel exhausted, while men who remain calm and unbothered appear to face fewer challenges. The difference is not effort, but orientation. Tests escalate when the system senses fragility. They soften when the system senses resilience. Understanding this removes resentment from the equation. Tests are not punishments or traps. They are feedback. They reveal where stability is real and where it is assumed. Until a man stops taking these moments personally and starts seeing them as information, he remains locked in a cycle where reaction creates repetition. When he shifts from proving strength to embodying it, the relationship recalibrates without confrontation, explanation, or force. When a man finally understands what these tests are truly measuring, his relationship to them changes completely. He stops seeing tension as a threat and stops interpreting resistance as a problem that needs immediate resolution. Instead, he recognizes these moments as neutral signals, revealing whether his internal stability is real or situational. This shift removes urgency from his behavior. He no longer feels compelled to explain himself, justify his intentions, or rush to restore emotional alignment. His posture becomes slower, calmer, and more deliberate, not because he is trying to project strength, but because there is nothing to defend. The woman experiences this change immediately. The emotional atmosphere no longer tightens when uncertainty appears. There is no escalation, no collapse, and no chase. The test resolves itself because it no longer produces information. Stability that does not react cannot be measured through pressure. This is why men who remain grounded often appear unchallenged in their relationships. It is not that tests disappear, it is that they lose relevance. When tension no longer provokes movement, it fades naturally. The man does not win by passing each test individually. He wins by removing the need for testing altogether. This does not require dominance, emotional withdrawal, or strategic silence. It requires internal alignment. A man who knows where he stands does not negotiate his center in response to emotional shifts. He remains present without pursuit and firm without rigidity. Over time, the relationship reorganizes itself around this stability. Emotional challenges become smaller, shorter, and less frequent. Trust increases not because the man proved himself, but because his behavior consistently demonstrated that pressure does not move him. This is the deeper function of testing. It filters for resilience, not compliance. Once a man embodies this, relationships stop feeling like a series of evaluations and start feeling like shared movement. And at that point, strength no longer needs to be demonstrated because it is already assumed.